but I'm like champion at this game. We'll start out really, really slow and see how this goes. All right? For everybody listening at home, this is ScienceFM, and real quick, we'll go around the circle and say names. I'm Kara Larson.
I'm Elaine Stewart.
Dave Etler.
George Murray.
Cool. All right, yeah. And on this episode, we're going to talk about podcasting. So we're doing a podcast about podcasts, which is super meta and fun. And so on this episode, we're talking with Dave Etler, who's the host of the Shortcode podcast here at the UI. So, Dave, thanks for coming and talk to us.
No problem, my pleasure.
To start us off, we wanted to play an improv game with you, if you were down to come. And it's called Big Booty, and it's like, so Elaine and I know how to play it. Elaine's not very good at it.
I was hoping we would play Big Booty.
Yeah. Elaine, every time. People get so upset when we play it at practice, people want to leave, but it's fine. And the way it goes is it's like a clap chanting scary game. And it's like, it starts out and we go, big booty, big booty, big booty. Yeah, big booty. And then one person is big booty, I'll be big booty. And so I'll go like big booty number one, and then Elaine would be number one, and she'd go number one.
Big booty number two.
So then, so like what would happen to you? So I'd be big booty, Elaine would be number one, you'd be number two, and then you'd be number three. So I'd be like big booty number one, so I'd send it to Elaine, and then Elaine would be like number one, and then she'd send it to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And so then if she said number one, number three, then George would be like number three, number two, and then you'd be like number two, big
Sounds
booty.
Exactly like the sort of thing that I'm terrible at.
Yeah. All right.
I'm kind of intimidated by this, but
and then if you lose, you're supposed to like get kicked out or like get sent away, but like we won't do that because we need everybody here for the podcast. All right. Ready? So we'll start real slow. So big booty, big booty, big booty. Oh yeah. Big booty. Big booty number one.
Number one. Number two.
And then so you'd say number two.
Number two, number three.
Number three, number two.
I'm number three, dude.
No, you're number two. So
number two, number one.
Number one, big booty.
Big booty number three.
Number three, big booty number one.
Yeah, you just said my line.
Oh.
Yeah. See how complicated it is?
Yeah.
See? And then we yell at people who mess up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm yelled at.
Yeah. Right? And then we make people cry.
Wow.
It's mostly me.
This sounds like
a little more
wonderful
effort.
Game.
Yeah. There's a lot of like usually
Any game where you can play that people cry in,
yeah.
I'm down.
Exactly. It's so great. We've almost disbanded the troop over it a couple times.
My goodness.
But yeah. Okay. Cool. Super great. So it's pretty windy today.
Yeah. Well, I rode my motorcycle in today.
Wow.
I was, because, we motorcyclists, we get very excited when the temperatures climb above a certain level.
Yeah.
And I got very excited this morning. And I rode in, I was being blown all over the place, but I was like, yeah. Anyway, sorry.
No, that's good. I love it. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about the Shortcode podcast?
Sure. The podcast started in 2000. So the Shortcode podcast deals with mostly the social aspects of medicine. I'm a staff member in the Office of Student Affairs and Curriculum, so I'm not an expert in medicine. I'm not an expert in medical education, but, I have opinions. And the med students themselves, they're learning to become experts, but they're by no means experts in any of those areas either. But they do, affect us, these areas, obviously. And so, basically, I decided to focus on the social aspects of medicine just because that's a lot. We're able to discuss that more than we're able to discuss, say, the latest research or, the newest treatments or, whatever, what have you. And, I think it's more interesting to me personally, the social aspects of medicine. So in 2010, we started doing this, and part of my reason for doing this is because, I've been doing my job here for 10 years, and I felt like, I had a pretty good handle on it at that point, as one does after 10 years of doing the same thing over and over and over again. And I thought, well, what can I do to sort of add to, what I do to make my job more interesting. And I liked podcast, I liked listening to podcasts, and so I said, well, let's do a podcast. And fortunately, nobody said no, and we started doing it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's kind of what we've been doing with ScienceFM. We've just started as part of a group project, and our goal is to kind of go around and interview professionals, specifically in the science disciplines. And so when we saw the short code, it's obviously kind of, directly related to medicine, which science and medicine go hand in hand. And I guess the tone for the short code as communicating, like, do you have a specific audience? Like, are you communicating medicine, which at least I think of as a very technical discipline, a little bit hard to understand? It's like, who are your listeners, and how do you make what could be thought of as a technical discipline more accessible to them?
Well, our audience, and when we started doing this, I thought of my audience as medical students from anywhere. And since then, I've learned that pre-meds are a large part of our audience, if not the majority of our audience. It's hard to tell, but I think it wouldn't surprise me if at least half of our audience were pre-meds. So these are people who, they understand science in general. Not everybody who goes to med school is, considers themselves primarily a science person. They may have studied English, or they may have studied dance, or they may have studied art, or any number of things before they decide to study medicine. So that's something to consider also as part of our audience. Not everybody is totally sciencey. And as I said, while I like science, I find science interesting. It's not something that, I find to be like a really super interesting thing to talk about. I'm much more into the squishier aspects of medicine.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I'm a biochem major, but, like, I have slept through a lot of my lectures. Like, I'll have to make sure I market this to the right people. But, like, yeah. I know.
Don't market this for, post-grad.
Yeah.
Programs, I would say.
Yeah, but no, yeah. What's the way you market science or medicine to be, like, almost flashy? Like, how do you make the short code?
I think the thing about science is there is so much to science besides the actual science, right? Personalities, for instance. I mean, every field has its wackadoos. The people who, if you step away from the actual, equations or the chemicals or the physiology or whatever it is in your field, and you look at the personalities behind them, that's great. That's good stuff. And I think engaging with that material has potential to just make things more interesting. I mean, okay, yeah, so, in 1600s, we just, what was it? I'm gonna make up some science here.
Okay.
In the 1600s, Galileo Galilei decided that the Earth revolved around the sun instead of the other way around. That seems like something that I've read. And but he was kind of a whack-a-job in a way to his contemporaries. Let's talk about him, and what he was like and what he was going through. So that's sort of, I think there's a lot to talk about there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, talking about the people instead of, like, the actual equations. Yeah, I think personalizing science is definitely a way to go about it. I agree. Yeah.
One of my favorite, historical things is that early American, colonialists drank beer because they were like, oh, it's cleaner. Like, when we make beer, it's cleaner than drinking the water that we have. But they didn't realize by making beer, they were boiling the water anyways, making it stink.
Right.
So that they, were always drinking beer. Like, they accidentally...
Oh, I just thought it was like an alcohol thing.
I was going to say, yeah, they just like to get drunk.
I mean, they might have.
They were drunk and they didn't care.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of it was, like, they didn't realize, like, they could have just stopped at boiling the water, but instead they like went the extra mile because they were like, beer is so much healthier. Like all the alcohol we're putting into our systems and like what we're giving to our kids is totally fine. But like I think that's just really funny how like science, like you don't realize it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to the stories of how things came to be, and I don't, your poor professors, I remember from my college days, like 25 years ago, sitting in a lecture and kind of, not exactly finding it to be, the most exciting thing that I was doing that day. I wasn't a great student. But the point is, but your poor professors, like, they have a curriculum that they need to address,
Right.
and that doesn't always involve it doesn't always involve the fun aspects of what you're doing.
Right. Yeah. The beer drinkers of olden times.
Right. Yeah.
Man, yeah. I know. I wish we could learn about clean water by drinking just a bunch of beer. Be like, this is
Chemistry.
science. Exactly.
You're like 400 years, like 400 years
Can
too
you imagine the newspapers?
You're like, you, our professor, gets a
Yes.
bunch of students drunk.
That
And
sounds
like,
like a great idea.
That's chemistry.
So, if we
Bringing us back.
sorry, if we have to be professional about science and podcasting about it to some degree, how do you find that sort of happy medium between like capturing, portraying medicine as a discipline that is professional and is very credible? I mean, maybe it's already established that sort of reputation, and then having fun, embracing the quirky natures of people's personalities. I just do you have sort of like a hardline format that you follow, or is it more free ranging?
So if I understand your question, you're asking me, how do I keep from getting fired?
Yeah, exactly.
This it's something that I've struggled with a little bit because I'm a sarcastic person. I am maybe you could consider me, at least from my demeanor, the least professional person I know. Maybe that's why I wanted to do podcasting in the first place. But I do, medicine is a very hierarchical discipline. It's a very conservative discipline in a lot of ways. And so, yeah, sometimes I do worry, like, did the fact that I swore during an episode, did that mean that I would be called into the dean's office? I'm not really, so far so good. But it's something I think about. And even sometimes when I'm going back and editing the show, I try to think, well, okay, maybe that was a bit, what I said there, that was a bit gratuitous, or what that person who was on the show said there, that was a bit unnecessary. And so, yeah, I mean, fortunately there's an edit button. It's another reason why I've hesitated to go to, so we record our show on Fridays, and we release it the following Thursday. So we've essentially got 6 days for me to think about whether or not that was a good idea. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, so far so good.
Oh,
Check in
nice.
with me next year and see if I'm still here.
Yeah. Have you been called into the dean's office ever?
No,
Oh, man.
no.
Yeah, that's our goal for this semester.
Yeah, I
go
know.
for it. Go for it. Well, I mean, I guess on the theory that, if you're not pushing the boundaries,
Yeah.
no, you're not doing your listeners a side. I don't know. Maybe that's just crazy.
No, yeah, what's the point if we don't get caught?
I think you should. I mean, I think you should do a little pushing. I mean, I don't think you have to be jerks about it. or
Yeah,
anything,
no.
But yeah, seems like a good idea to not be boring.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have a specific story where you, thought, oh, maybe this is too much?
No, I feel like it happens all the time. I really can't think of one off the time. I'll ponder on that when we continue. I have on occasion bleeped out things, and I have on occasion removed stuff.
Yeah.
And whether I bleep it out or remove it sort of has to do more with whether it's funnier to use the bleep.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it is. Sometimes it is funnier to hear a bleep than
Exactly.
a
Especially when what I love is the bleep where you've got like the first part of the word and you're like, oh well, I know what that word was.
Yeah.
That's the best kind of bleep.
That's the best. Maybe we'll start bleeping out not swear words too. Be like, I don't know, they said poop,
Yeah,
but it's
exactly.
funnier.
Make yourself more edgy. in that way. That sounds good.
Yeah, we'll have to do that if we get a professor who's just like having a really dull day. And we'll start bleeping out words that they say. Talking about fruit flies, we just bleep out every single time they say fruit flies.
You know what you should do is you should ask each professor you interview the next person they should interview.
Oh,
Wouldn't that be good?
Yeah,
I don't know if that would mean that you get a lot of people from within one department, but
Yeah.
they must know other people.
maybe.
And
yeah.
interdisciplinary work is big in at least in medicine lately, and probably in other fields, especially the sciences.
Yeah, it's a huge push. I know for like the
Bobby.
biomech department.
I like that idea. It's free.
Yeah. Okay. Write that down. Somebody write that down.
Free.
So, if you were going to recommend us a person to interview next time,
Ah, son of a...
You started it. You have to. I'm writing it down. Everybody's
gonna-
writing it. You write it down. We'll both write
well,
it
we do have
down.
it on record.
Oh, that's okay. Well, it's fun to write it down and
can
also
write it
record
down
it. I know this is a
Yeah.
podcast.
This is a recorded...
It's
boy.
the first time, okay?
Who would I don't get a lot of exposure to faculty outside of medicine, so I'm going to have to pick.
Yeah, that'll have to be a rule we set too. We'll be like, you have to pick somebody outside your department.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we'll just get everybody inside the College of Medicine and we'll be like, well, this was fun, but
Okay, well, I'm going to give you a doctor. Her name is Carol Scott Connor.
I like the 3 name.
Yeah.
Scott.
I'll let you look her up. She's actually retired, but I think she's retired, but she's pretty active. She's one of the editors of our literary journal, so she's a writer, and she's just a fun person to talk to. So
Okay,
go for that one.
cool. Nice. We'll definitely do that then. Oh, fun. Look at this. We already got.
See that?
Wow.
Always thinking. Always thinking.
Oh, man.
So, when you're picking who you interview, is that like up to you, or is it more of like a kind of a random group of people?
When we do interviews, it's usually because I've noticed that they will be here, or somebody has said, so and so's coming. Maybe that would be a good interview. So I pay attention to the calendars, various events calendars at the university, and emails and such, and if it looks interesting and has some connection to medicine that I can either make up or actually exists, then I might ask to talk with them.
Cool. Can you say who your favorite interview has been with?
Oh, well, my favorite is always my most recent, but we've had some good ones. We've talked with the family of Henrietta Lacks,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
and
Oh.
so
Wow.
Well, I had to read that. I read the Immortal Life.
Yes,
last
yes.
semester for my rhetoric class, and that's just a fascinating story.
Yeah, it's great. They came to visit a few years ago, and was it the great grandson and the great granddaughter or something like that of Henrietta Lacks, and they were just great to talk to about what they thought about this issue of Henrietta being the progenitor of this immortal cell line that is so widespread in cancer, that is used in such a widespread way in cancer research, and yet which she was never asked if she could donate, if she would donate those things. She had no idea. There was so much confusion among her family about what it actually meant to have an immortal cell line. I mean, some of of her family members thought that there was an actual clone of Henrietta Lacks out there. I mean, just, this is what I mean by the social aspects of medicine, Hela's, Hela. I was like, Hela is
hella
incredibly
cool.
important to science. Yeah. It's incredibly important to science, but what's more interesting to me is how this affected
The family.
Henrietta Lacks,
Yeah.
family, just very cool stuff.
Like the overall scientific community had to deal with it, and there was so much backlash about telling the family, and I can't remember the scientist's name, but he was from Sweden or something, and he was working at Johns Hopkins, and he was the first genealogist to reach out to them and to be hey, let me show you these actual cells, let me try to explain this to you in the best way that I can.
Right.
And I thought that was the most the human aspect that really intrigued me about the whole scientific process of it all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that we in the sciences, people who work in this field, that's we, I don't work in the sciences. I work in the in the paper pushing. But the point is that, we here in a university town, let's do it that way. We here in a university town, we sort of get an idea of what America is like in terms of their education, in terms of their understanding of science, all that kind of stuff. And I suspect that much of America is closer to the Lax family than it is to us. And I'm not saying that because I'm sort of looking down on people. I think it's important to remember. I think one of the lessons is to remember that it's up to us to explain that sort of thing to people when they want to listen to it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just made that up.
No,
Well,
yeah.
well, yeah, it trails right into kind of like the accessibility of science that we were talking about.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm getting at. That's not up to us, because I feel like that's very elitist. It's up to us to explain to the poor unwashed masses who don't understand science.
Quick, up with the window, let them know.
But what I'm really getting at is, we have this ability. We should, do something with it.
Let's talk about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, for sure. That's like the whole point of the Latham Science Initiative program that George and I are in. Is like we're just trying to hone in on that science communication and make it accessible. Because like I hang out with a lot of like theater and English students, and they're all super interested in science. But the big thing is like they go to a poster session that I make them go to of mine, and they're like, "Yeah, your poster's cool, but like, what is going on?"
What the heck does
Yeah,
that mean?
it's like there's a fly there, and then there's a bunch of other things, and I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
Let me tell you something. Medical writing is among the worst, or research writing, I think, probably is among the worst kinds of writing.
Yeah.
Because, I consider myself a pretty smart guy, and I don't understand half of what I'm reading. And I'm convinced that it comes down to the ability to write. You have to know how to explain yourself to an audience. And I understand that a research poster is directed at a certain audience, and so I guess it's okay to use $10 words and complicate your sentence structure as much as possible so that I don't know if it's because you're trying to sound smart. I don't know what's going on. But when I read scientific posters or papers, sometimes I'm like, okay, well, that could have been written better.
Yeah.
No,
It was
yeah.
a little tangent. But anyway,
No, yeah.
communication, right? Okay.
But like, I think it was Barbara McClintock. She discovered transposons. Yeah, but her writing was like so hard to decipher that it went for like another 12 years, and someone else discovered transposons independently.
Oh dear.
Issues with that.
That's
Yeah.
but it's huge. Just like being able to communicate your research. I think that's a big deal. Is like educating the public, but like researchers are making these huge leaps and bounds and finding all these amazing things, but if you can't communicate it with people, what's the point?
Yeah. I took a methods in psychology class when I was in college, and I remember the professors, complimenting my writing, which was nice. But she said, "You know what? You did that in one sentence where a lot of people I have read would do it in 5." And so I took that as a compliment. I think it's a compliment. So if you can be a good communicator of what you're doing, so much the better. You don't need to use 5 sentences.
Right.
You don't need to use. A lot of science communication is about specificity, right, and accuracy. And so when you're trying to be really accurate about something, you're going to generate a mess of words because you want to be as specific and as accurate as possible.
Right.
So I guess there's only so far that the idea of simplicity can go, but at the same time, whatever you can do probably is helpful.
Yeah, right. Well, I went to a conference at MIT all about like science communication, and one of the biggest things they talked about is like whenever I hear people saying, "Oh, we have to dumb down our research in order to reach the general public," and somebody yelled at them, and they're like, "It's not dumbing it down; it's translating your research."
Yeah.
Because it's like if you can't translate your research, like how well do you even know your own research?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, and how well do other people? How well do your colleagues really understand your research?
right. It's like
So
come
I
on.
did not know that about McClintock. That's interesting to look up that story. Is that what you said, McClintock?
Yeah. I think so.
Transposons. Crazy. What a crazy time. But that's what we're trying to do with this podcast is we're gonna go
Cool.
talk to professors and learn about their most recent publications, hopefully, and then have them try and explain it to us very simply, and then we'll yell at them if they can't.
Yeah, that should get you
Yeah.
more and more
Yeah,
interviews.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're excited. Keep it in the deep web so people can't find it.
Yeah. So after we grilled you, can you please recommend someone else?
Yeah, exactly. That'd be great. We're gonna get
It's our chance to.
really good following among professors, I think.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so what do you do at the hospital here, or at the College of Med?
I work in the Office of Student Affairs and Curriculum. So pretty much anything that. So OSAC basically is the group of 35, 40 people who support the medical students throughout their time here at the College of Medicine. So, everybody from the registrar's office to financial aid to the Writing and Humanities program, which is where I work, to, global studies, and the people who actually deliver the curriculum or help help organize the delivery of the curriculum to the medical students. Those are all among the things that OSAC does. And so I work in the Writing and Humanities program, just supporting the office. It's just me and Jason Lewis who do the Writing and Humanities program. And I also split some time to help the deans out with stuff that they need doing.
Cool.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, cool. Right? Yeah. Actually, it's a lot better than it sounds. Do the website for OSAC, and other stuff that needs doing. I know.
Yeah.
I should have a better. One day I should have a better pitch. One day we were in I think the new class had come in. We were having a meeting with the new class to introduce OSAC, and Dean was like, "Dave, what is it that you do?" So that's pretty much in a nutshell.
Nice.
What I do. I'll come up with a better pitch for my next interview.
Cool. Okay.
So, yeah, you mentioned the website. We've kind of come to a point where it's like we're managing our website. Is there anything else that we should consider about like developing an online presence around our podcast, or is it just a website to host it on is all you really need?
Yeah, I would say that do these as frequently as you can, even if they're shorter. Do these as frequently as you can. That's like number one. You're not going to develop much of a following if you're putting out shows every month.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to do a lot better, I think, if you do it every week. And that sounds like a big deal. But once you integrate it into your week, it's not really all that bad. When I first started doing this, it was sort of in excess of my job description. And so it felt like work. But once I, sort of formalized it into, okay, I'm going to do this every single week, that's sort of when it became less work. And there's other good reasons to do it every week. I mean, first of all, just practicing. You're going to get a real good idea quickly what's working well and what isn't, just from how you feel about it while you're doing it. I guess the other thing that's worked out well for us is to look for partners to help you promote. So recently we were lucky enough to basically I sent an email to a website called studentdoctors.net. This is where a lot of pre-meds from a lot of different medical related fields, everywhere from dentists, audiologists, MDs, any natural DOs, all these students hang out. And so, I thought, and I noticed they had a partner program, and I said, well, I'd like to be a partner, let's do that. So I sent them an email, and a while later they get back to me and said, yeah, let's do this. So we've started recently actually appearing on their homepage. I think that's helped to spread the word quite a bit. So look for partners. And I guess, don't worry so much about your stats in the beginning. Just don't stress out over it. Don't even look at them, I think, at least in the beginning. Maybe surprise yourself in a year. I don't know, pick a time. Surprise yourself in a year, go look at them and say, oh, look, people are listening. I bet people will be listening.
Cool. I hope so. My dad said he'd listen, so like, there's
Yes, if only
there's one.
my parents would listen, except when I gave them.
Just drop him,
So yeah,
drop him a line, let him know.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to spend some time, I think, at least building those relationships and doing some promotion in some way. But you don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
You know, don't take out a Facebook ad. I did that once, and I think all I got were bots. People following me. It was very weird. But, you know, after a time, because, you know, you go and look at their profiles and
Yeah.
be like, you know, somebody from Russia with, like, you know, crazy stuff on their page. And I'm like, okay, this is something's not right here.
A lot of lorem ipsum.
Yeah, it's just weird stuff.
Oh man, some bot followers, that'd be fun.
Yeah, I've
To
dealt
get
with the
a-
bots before.
You have?
Oh yeah.
Did you
they're-
have to fight them?
Yeah, literally. Like, you know, Transformers. It was-
Yeah, just like that. Did you call Arnold and you're like, hey, TBT, let's go fight some bots?
Is that the Terminator?
Yeah. Oh, you said Transformers. That's on me, you guys. We can edit that. Don't edit that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's going to be
Logistics.
people here at the university who do robotics. You know, you could-
Yeah.
Oh, you know what you should do? Here's an idea. Go to the driving simulator.
Yeah. That's.
That'd be really fun.
I know somebody who just got paid to do that, or like just got signed on to study.
Yeah.
Who was it,
It
James?
was my friend James.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man, we should. Yeah, we
He
should.
does a lot of he wants to be a psychologist, so he does a lot of like studies, so he can also make money.
Yeah.
But so he like bounces around. So he just got signed on for this one where he like goes and drives in the simulator for like 2 hours. So.
You know, if you're going to do that thing where you sign up for studies and to get paid for it, you got to do it when you're young. Because what I've noticed, I'm on these lists, right? Because I'm like, oh, I can use $20.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all like, you know, if you're between the ages of 18 and 35 and you have nothing wrong with you, we want you in our study. Well, I'm screwed. Even when they're asked for old people, it's like, and you've got no back pain or no, you know, I'm not in the demographic. I'm not going to make any. Just do it while you're young.
Yeah.
I always like the ones that are like way out of my demographic. That I get to. I'm like, we're looking for males like
65 and older.
65
Yeah.
and older with type
Who's-
2 diabetes who
Yes.
smoke, and I'm like, no.
No, that.
You should-
Sorry.
You should sign up anyways, though.
Should see what happens.
I actually tried to do a study. It was a driving sim. It wasn't with the big driving simulator. There was another one over there. And so, you know, I got there and they were talking to me about various things, and I mentioned that I was colorblind. And they're like, oh, I'm a little color deficient. You know, and they're like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, when could you ask that? And they're like, no, I'm sorry, we have to reject you.
No.
You have to like call this principal investigator and find out,
Whoa.
like, do we take people who are colorblind? And they're like, no.
You just sit in a dark room
So
for
again,
an hour waiting for him
yeah.
to call his PI.
So again, rejected. Rejected.
No, that's so sad.
Sad.
Today I was like, I checked my phone in bed for the weather because like before I showered I like wanted to think about like what I was gonna wear. And so then I like looked and it was like 52 degrees. I was so excited. I jumped out of bed and I almost sprained my ankle. So I like tweeted about that, and then like I think yesterday I like tweeted because I was just like I had a really bad week, but like yesterday was just like really bad. So I was like, I think my problem with today was that I didn't like tell myself in the mirror like 3 times like you're not an idiot. Like, but I put 3s. So then I had a follow-up tweet that was like, I think my day was even worse because I spelled 3s, and then I was like, welcome to hell.
Yeah. I don't. So here's what I try. So for the podcast for the Twitter account,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I try to tweet out helpful things. Nobody. It's like, okay, whatever. Nobody pays any attention to that. So basically now I'm just tweeting out episodes. I'm like, I'm not, you know, well, we just published an episode. I got a tweet bot that just throws them out there. And so like, I don't know, like, what do you guys think? What do you young millennials think I should be
there
doing?
it is. There's the M word.
I know.
But we're
It's like the
bleeping
most
it.
annoying
I think
thing.
like the 2 like most important things that like Twitter drives is like comedians
Mm-hmm.
and then like
Slap hands.
advertising. So right now I have like my personal account, I have this like stupid joke account that I have like 13 people follow, and then I have I'm running the Floodwater Comedy Festival Twitter account as well as all its other social media. So what I found is that like I'm trying to get information out through the Floodwater account that's like about the festival itself. I'm like, hey, volunteer, like submit your comedy acts, but it helps if you have like something that'll like make somebody laugh or like catch their eye. So it's like it's tough like trying to advertise that. But I found like the most popular Twitter accounts are all the ones that are like funny.
Yeah.
Like all the stupid like just like comedians.
I think I totally agree with you. I think the problem though for me is that I end up, because it takes me so long to compose a 140 character tweet, that by the time I'm done I'm like, well, I don't care about this anymore.
You don't have to do the full 140. The funniest ones are like 2 words though. Like, okay, all right, here's No Bones Ted Cruz, you guys. And his like pin tweet is like, I was made in a laboratory and I have no bones in my body. It's like just like simple things where it's just like super short. Or like his bio is, I have no bones in my body and I'm actually just a human skin sack of lasagna.
Okay.
Just like super short, super sweet.
Okay, well, I guess I need to work on
Yeah.
not being so. See now we're getting to the other. We're bringing this full circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because before I said we should communicate with fewer words and fewer sentences.
Right.
And now bringing it back to Twitter,
Yeah.
where I need work.
Real quick, George typed this up, and I just want to see your thoughts on this. Is the Earth doomed? Is all of this time we're spending a waste? Oh my God, this podcast just got dark. Let's all cry together.
Wow. I think the Earth is doomed.
Okay.
I think the Earth is doomed. I think we need to get off this planet as a species. Because no matter what, something's going to happen. I mean, this is kind of my default in life anyway. You know, like I'm convinced that something bad's going to happen any second now. Anyway.
Yeah.
Elaine's already crying.
Elaine agrees.
No, like I totally think that too. I'm like, like there's some like it's like in Yosemite or Yellowstone, there's like some volcano. It's been like
Yes!
dormant for like ever, but they're like, you know what? It could just erupt at any point.
Elaine is
and
my
they were
soul
like,
sister.
They're like, oh yeah, it could just like erupt at any moment, and like the entire United States would just be like done. Like we'd all just die because of, like smoke and like fog and
Fire.
my 8th grade science teacher made us watch a video about it, and it has haunted me ever since.
Whenever these stories crop up, I'm like, well, we're dead.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts for me. I feel like we're going to get smoked by something.
Well, isn't there a huge fault line that goes right through Iowa, too? And it's like, isn't it time
great.
to go?
No,
No,
it's the
Nightmares.
New Madrid seismic something or other. I'm in a
Yeah.
natural disasters class right now, so it does not help any of my state of mind. But it's like in like Tennessee, I think.
Okay.
So it could potentially like if there is.
That's pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there is like an earthquake, if it's like large enough, it could like affect
Yeah.
the surrounding areas. Like
Yeah.
it could hit Iowa. Like it wouldn't be like if like a 9 hit Tennessee. Like it maybe be like a 4 or 5 here.
I think I'm more concerned about Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when you read articles about that, it's pretty much what they're predicting is like a giant explosion that will blow the United States
Yeah.
and Canada and
it's
maybe
like-
parts of Central America just off the friggin' map.
And the best part about like science like that is that I keep hearing in lecture like we don't know what is gonna happen. We can't predict anything.
You're like,
seismologists
get
are
on that!
like
What are you doing here? Get over there.
Stop class now.
We talked about earthquakes for a while, and they were just like, yeah, we can't predict earthquakes, but like we can like monitor them. And they're like, but we can't like tell you anything about them. They're like, Japan's probably like the closest. They've got like they immediately know when waves are coming, but then like as soon because they have to be prepared for like tsunamis and stuff.
It's like
But
I guess that's important long-term science right there. You know, we're learning about what to look for. But that is going to be of zero comfort when the United States has been blown into outer space by Yellowstone. Well, we didn't know.
I mean, probably the rest of the world would be like,
Hey guys, you're
fine.
dead. Our seismic readings show that you're dead.
Game over.
Oh, cool.
Science is very frustrating that way.
I wonder, what is like if you were just like, you know, a high schooler about to go into college and you wanted to like try to solve these problems, what would you major in? What would your career path be if you wanted to like
You wanted to
stop
solve
Yellowstone?
all problems.
Yeah, stop Yellowstone from blowing up.
I think
No, I mean,
maybe.
seismology or
Seismology.
No.
volcanism.
There's nothing you're going to be able to do. There is no seismology is not going to be able to fix it. You know.
Yeah.
But you could like learn about what could happen.
You could just, like-
find out
Yeah.
indicators.
You could build a clock and then be like, well, it's gonna happen now.
It's like, it goes off like once an hour. Like, is it happening?
Go into like space research to get people
There you
out
go.
off the planet, to get me, and my family, and you know, since I know you now, maybe you guys, off the planet so that we can survive as a species.
Wow, we made the inner circle.
Illuminati confirmed.
Yeah.
You guys want to chant science?
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's do that.
Science, science, science.